Okay, so there's a lot in this. So I've already opened up a new bin called Double Exposure. If I just go up here, you can see there's our bin, and I've loaded in the two tracks, one being the Golden Gate Bridge right here, and another being this fella. I've actually off camera changed my mind as to what footage I wanted. I used him first and then I decided to go for him. And the beauty of being able to do that in ArtGrid is that I came back and this wasn't here at this time. I came back here and I thought, I want to see what other angles I have for this. And the beauty of ArtGrid is that more often than not, you have view story right here. If I look on here, all of the footage that we've got, we can see this icon here, here, and here, and even here, so you can easily just go into view story and see all the other footage that was shot as part of that collection. And this guy isn't actually as alone as he seems in the footage that we've got, because he's got his lovely little dog there, Jack Russell, I think. So that's the beauty of ArtGrid. Don't forget, link in the course outline for this and everything that we talk, whether it be Premiere Composer, Motion Array, all of that. There are links in there. And some of them are free. Not to over egg the pudding, but some of them you get a discount if you go through that link. I always try and find good deals, so yeah, you're welcome. So we've got these two pieces of footage. What we want to do is we're going to create a sequence from this footage, rather than Control and N and starting up a new sequence, because we want it as big as possible. I mean, irrespective of how we're going to render it out, we're going to work with as much room as we can. So with that in mind, we need to create a sequence that's with the smallest piece of footage. So if we mouse over these, we can see that this clip here, which is currently in our source monitor, is 3840 by 2160. Keeping that in mind, let's just mouse over the other one, and that is, go on a day, 4096. Okay, so this is the larger clip, so we're going to go with the smaller clip, purely because the bigger clip is better sizing down to the smaller clip rather than the smaller clip sizing up. It's just better for quality. So we're going to select this clip here and right click, and we're going to create a new sequence from clip, and it loads in that piece of footage. Cracking, happy with that. I'm just going to rename this this sequence as just Double Exposure. Okay, if I click on name to refine, good, we've got them all together. So it's nicer for my eye. We're then going to grab this other clip, which is the Golden Gate Bridge, and drag this in. And they're pretty much the same length actually, which is great. However, we want this on the bottom. So just going to grab that guy, put him up, select them both and drag them to the bottom. Just going to press down on the keyboard once to go to the end of this clip. If we want to include this one, which we do, we just turn on V2 as well and click up, and that goes to the end of that clip. What we want to do is we want to trim the end of this clip to be the same. So with this highlighted and W on the keyboard, that just trims the end. Isn't it funny how we're doing these things now nice and quickly, now that we just understand the shortcuts? And it's these little things that really do help speed up everything. Okay, so what we're going to do? Well, first and foremost, we're going to select the two of them, and we're going to right click, and we're going to replace with After Effects Composition. And now we're in our After Effects Composition. Bearing in mind, I opened this up before, so we didn't get any kind of error message. We're just going to go to fit so we can see everything. Maybe zoom out just a little bit. That's a little bit too much. Fair enough. We'll leave it there. And what we're going to do first is we're going to rotoscope this fella out. Now, you can do this with a static image. However, I've chosen to do it with a video, first because I think it's more impressive, and secondly because the things that we do for video is pretty much the same for an image, whereas if we used an image, there'd be less things that you do. So this one kind of covers both, really. The only thing that you need to know with regards to an image is you'd either take that image and convert it in Photoshop with a transparent background, or you can actually rotoscope a single image in here as well. So you can actually apply the same principles that we're going to be doing in here to a single image. So speaking of rotoscoping, let's get on with that. But one thing before we do, I know that my system is getting a little bit full, so I think this is a good time to show you what to do. If you're, it's one thing to help when you're working After Effects, because After Effects takes up quite a lot of cache space. So to clear it out, you hit Edit, anywhere, even if you're not in a project. You come down to purge and all memory and disk cache. And yeah, I've currently got a disk cache of 41 gigabytes. So press OK and just let that run through that. It does it quite quickly, to be honest with you, in After Effects. The Premiere Pro version is Edit, Preferences, down to Media Cache. And what this does is it brings up a dialog box. It always does it much slower. I'm not too sure why. But my media cache files are on a second internal hard drive. It's the best way to speed up your system. And I just press delete, delete unused media cache files, done. And what that will do is it will delete any kind of cache. Cache is what builds up in the background to allow everything to be able to be referenced quickly. And that cache in this respect is just, we're deleting everything that's not being used. So everything that's not in this project. That's the way I understand it anyway. My cache management also automatically deletes the oldest when it exceeds 30 gigabytes. Some people, I think by default, it's on 30 days here, but we don't want that. We have it as just there. It doesn't delete anything like source files. It's just the cache that's built up in the background so that the software can access it easier. It's just as simple as that. Good. So let's do that, and let's go back to After Effects, and let's get right to the beginning of this clip. Just going to hide the clip behind for now, and we're going to start rotoscoping this out. So to do that, let's double click to go into the actual layer of it, and let's go to our rotoscoping tool. I do love this tool. Let's just size it up a little bit. Don't forget it's Control on your keyboard and just drag up and down. And then let's bring it down a little bit, and let's just draw a little bit here on his torso. Let's see. Good. Let's pick that out. It's picked out that as well, which we don't want. So holding down the Alt key, just going to take that little bit and hopefully, yeah, a little bit more, just a little dot there, a little bit more of a dot. It's because it's the similar color, you see. We know now, because we've had that, we need to keep an eye on that as we step forward. Okay, let's maybe size down the brush a little bit and get the rest of his shirt on this side. Good, that's good. A little bit more down here maybe. Good, we're not fully out of the woods yet. Let's just scroll in and move around a bit. Don't forget, scroll up or down on your mouse and hold down spacebar to move it around with a hand tool. And I'm just going to try and refine this a little bit. Go on, just want that bit and that bit. Sensei is so good for this. Just going to click there. See how it's an auto selection tool. It uses very similar tool than what is actually in Photoshop and has been in Photoshop for a long time, which is the quick selection tool. Getting there. We're going to feather this a little bit so it's not absolutely crucial, but at the same time I do want to start off with the best intents. Good. Okay, I'm happy with that. And now let's get to his face. And as you can see, there's hair all the way around here. So we're going to have to refine those edges. But let's just draw a line through his head first and foremost. That's done quite well, hasn't it? It really has done quite well. And yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Adobe knows that all this is edges and hairs and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to long press and select over to Refine Edge tool. I'm just going to size down this a little bit because we don't need that much. And we're just going to slowly trace the edge of his head, trying to keep the cross on the brush almost all the way along the line. We may come back for those hairs that I've just passed. And I'm actually going to follow where his head would be, or the majority of his hair, and then we'll come back for these. Just through there, just through there. I'm going to go up into here and down and out to the hair. Let go of that. Let it do its thing. Remember, it creates an alpha channel here, so the white it can see is being kept. The black is being rejected. Remember what we had before with regards to alpha channels. I'm just going to click in once here with the scroll wheel. I'm just going to get these hairs here because little things like this is what's going to sell it. So just up here. And these are the kind of things that you need to kind of watch out for. You see how this selection is all the way up? That's block selection. So the parts between the hairs, those will be kept as well. And we kind of want to refine that. So let's go all the way through this and just paint it all and see how the selection picks up. And that's what we want to see. We want to see the hair turning white and what's not hair being black. Okay, we're going to come out here and just get this little bit here as well. Happy with that, I think. Yeah, good. Click out once on the mouse scroll wheel, and we're just going to get his eyebrows and his eyelashes, and that was the wrong thing to press. Now, rather than going Alt and taking that out, we do want to undo that, because we want to say, no, forget that. We don't even want you to consider that. That is a block that we want to keep. Let's just come in here, Control to size down, and let's just get that bit of hair there. And these eyelashes, he's got quite long eyelashes, hasn't he? Good. That's all going white. That's what we want to see. I'm just going to refine this edge actually around his skin, because as he turns his head, we may get more facial hair. I'm going to stop there for now, and then I'm going to reposition. Good. Again, we're looking for the white and the black, because that's the alpha channel. So I'm just going to come through here. I'm going to follow where his mouth would be, and then I'm going to come back here and try and like pick up some of these hairs. Let go, let that kind of render that out. Good, that's looking right. I'm happy with that. Let's maybe get some of these hairs and around here. You've probably been able to tell now that this is the reason why I picked this footage as well, because we've got hair, and hair is just notoriously difficult, or has been in the past, to key out of anything. Good, happy with that. Let's just go to fit, so we've got everything in the center. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to go back to our rotor brush tool, and I'm going to click forward just a few frames to see how that does as it propagates through and builds up that picture. Again, don't forget we're looking back here as well to keep an eye. That seems to be falling out. That's good. The hair is good. I missed him, but yeah, I'm not going to go back and get that. Yeah, let's push forward. So I'm going to toggle on to this view, and okay, that doesn't give me the view I want. Is it this view? Yeah. So you can see like the muddiness with the purple, and actually we've got parts that are showing here that we don't want. So let's click in. In fact, let's go back a few. I'm just going to zoom into his hair a little bit, and again, we're just going to paint through here and just, yeah, this is our edge, and leave that to catch up. And then we're going to say, yeah, here as well, this is all hair. You need to keep an eye on this, and so is this. Again, and I know I feel I say this on pretty much everything at the moment, but you can be as accurate or as inaccurate as you want to be, really. That's good. I'm happy with that. I want that bit of hair as well, actually. So let's paint that through. And because we're using the refine edge tool, it's telling us that what you're saying is, I'm painting this, but it's not all of the area that I'm painting. It will be certain parts within this area. So kind of work it out. And it's really good. It does. Good. So let's click through. Go another few frames forward, and let's see how it's tracking this rotoscope. I did quite quickly. That looks good. Good. Let's click through again. Not too far. If you get too far, the cache can kind of lose and drop off. But yeah, this seems to be doing okay. Let's click through, and I'll speed this up now, but I'll slow it down if there's any points of note. Okay, so as you can see, I'm speeding up this, and to be honest with you, the main thing I'm actually looking for is his hair. Everything else has tracked really quite well, and is rotoscoping, or is at least signifying the fields very well. So good, that's done. We're now going to, we've got the propagating tool going all the way through here. We're happy, so I'm just going to click freeze, and that's going to take a bit of time, and we'll come back once that's done. Okay, so we seem to have been, it's done. Not too bad at all. I'm happy with that. And it's as accurate as I want it to be. So we're going to come back out of there. And as you can see, he's been cut out. And as you can see, looking through here, through this alpha channel, this is done really quite well. So this is a great starting point for us. If I look down here, I'm looking down here by his shirt. There's a bit where we've actually had a little bit of movement up with the track. But looking at his hair, I'm really impressed with that track. And yeah, that'll do as well. Okay, so I'm going to come back up here and close this up. And right, what do we do now? Well, this next step isn't necessarily going to make sense. Because I don't know if it's a glitch in here or a certain way in which pre-compositions are made. But what we need to do is we need to pre-compose this. But as you can see, we have the VLC icon here, which is just because I use VLC on my computer. If I right click and pre-compose and just press OK, it gives me this. And this isn't what I want. I want a different icon, and I actually want it to turn brown. I don't know why it would turn brown. I don't know the technicalities, but that's what I want to do. So the way in which I have a workaround to do this is if I create a solid, just dark gray is fine. I'm going to move it below. I don't have to move it below. You can see actually that's really highlighting just how well that's picked out as well. I'm really happy with that. What we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this off. The only reason why we've got this solid in here is so there's more than one item in this pre-comp. Because when I right click and pre-compose now and press OK, as you can see, it turns brown. That's the pre-comp that I want. Not too sure why, but that's how it works. Okay, now let's start making this. So we're going to turn back on our layer below, which is our lovely Golden Gate Bridge motion time lapse. And first and foremost, we need to drop down. Remember our track mats? We're going to go alpha matte, okay, on the bottom footage. And what that will do is it will punch through. And now this alpha, because it's using the alpha track, this is now the only place in this whole scene that the bottom clip shows through to the top. Okay. So as you can see, this is kind of the start of everything. Okay. So now let's build on this. What we're going to do is we're going to take this pre-comp and we're going to Control D to duplicate it. And then we're going to turn it back on. And the reason why he shows now is because it's not the alpha matte of the bottom clip. The reason why we brought him on is because we want to bring back some of his features. If we get rid of him again, there's no features at all. It's just literally the alpha track that's brought back. And we want to give a hint of him at least, and mainly in the face, because obviously that's where his features are. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a small mask. And by doing that, we're going to click on the pre-comp, click on the rectangle tool, and just from the top left, we're going to drag. See how it changes? Because it's now looking for things within this bounding box. If I start to bring it over, see how we bring him back? So we're going to bring this across all the way and bring it down to just about here. Happy with that. Now what we want to do is we want to feather this mask. Okay. So we could drop this down and we've got mask feather here. Shortcut on your keyboard is F. And we're just going to start dragging this up. We're looking at this bottom edge here now. We're just going to drag this up. So we've got a bit of a feather between the two. And if we let that go, that's good. I want a little bit more. You can feather this as much or as little as you want. But you see how we're now going up into his face? Love that. Really like that. So as we now play this back, and this is really quite labor intensive for the computer, just bear that in mind. But if we play that back now, we've now really got the start of everything. And what you can see is you can see up here that mask feather is now coming into the top of his head. I'm okay with that. However, if you didn't want that, you just need to drag this mask. Sorry. You grab it somewhere, click out, and then click in again. Click this, hold down Shift, click the other one. So we're multiple selecting these two, and then just drag up. You could just obviously go off this way and this way, but if you hold down Shift, it snaps to the top, and all of a sudden, you then have everything there. I'm just going to leave that there actually for now. So now if we look back, if we come back to fit, we're masking at the bottom, but we've got all of his head in there. Okay. Obviously, you could do this with a circular mask as well, but this is the way we're doing this today. Now, what I want to do is I want to turn down the opacity as well. Don't forget T on the keyboard, opacity. You can also remember it because it's transparency, but I'd like opacity. And we're just going to drag this opacity down a little bit, just so we blend a little bit more. If we play that through now. Okay, so this effect is really starting to come together now. I really like that. It's looking really well. The thing is, he's not really showing much of the Golden Gate Bridge until he kind of comes over here, is he? And we kind of want that almost from, well, when we get to here, we want the Golden Gate Bridge right there. Well, we've got a bit of room for movement, so we could take that bottom clip even, press P on our keyboard and bring it over a little so it's there. So now if we play it back from the beginning, that's looking good. And he looks round. Good. Happy with that. Although I do want it in there more, so I'm actually going to keyframe this. So if we set a position keyframe for our bottom layer, come a bit further along until it's, yeah, we want to move that across there. So we'll move that there. And then let's move between the two to make sure, maybe move it across a little bit there. Come across here, maybe move it a little bit more. You see what I'm doing? I'm just setting a couple of keyframes, then going between the two. Move that back there a little. And let's see how that looks if we play that back. Okay, that looks absolutely awful. Maybe we don't, maybe get rid of that middle keyframe. And what we're going to do is we're just going to select all of these, F9 to easy ease them. You may want to move this, you may not, but I kind of feel like it needs a little bit. Maybe it doesn't need as much. Maybe if we get rid of that keyframe, play that back. Again, this is just literally playing around, seeing how it feels for you. That kind of feels quite natural. That's good. Happy with that. And do you know what? I'm going to delete this last keyframe and leave it back there. So we have a little bit more. Because remember, there's movement in this clip as well. But yeah, that works for me. Okay, so Control and S this. And this is the start of what we're doing. So now, let's see what else we can do. Control S. I know I've already just done that. But let's go back into Premiere. So now, rather than the alpha channel we have there, we've now got a black background because that's how it works in Premiere Pro. And as we drag through, good, looks all good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a background and we're going to drop that up one. And then let's get somewhere where we can actually see. Good. And we're going to come into Premiere Composer because what we haven't talked about is the backgrounds that Premiere Composer has. And it has a lot. If I just tilde this, we've got flow, which is all really nice. Forget about the colors, forget about the word pink in the middle. That's just kind of how it displays. You can change all the colors. You don't have to have pink. And also you don't have to have the word in the middle. I don't think they come in when you put them in, but you can see how we've got so many different backgrounds that you can just chuck on and you can change all these colors. What I want is I want a texture and I want this texture here, texture background 2. We're going to add that to the project. So I've imported that texture background. Need to bring the After Effects composition above it. So yeah, this is just literally working as a background. If I didn't have that, as obviously we've got the black as we've just said. And the backgrounds, you can make them shorter, but you can't make them longer. You can't make them continuously longer, but that's fine. We're going to change it up and then we'll duplicate it to make it fit the whole length. The beauty of this in here is that once you click on the background that you selected, you can change all the individual colors that are making this up, or we can go from a color palette. I'd like to go with that color palette to start with, see how that feels. That almost feels like a starry night, although it's not. And we're not trying to emulate a starry night, but I think that, yeah, I think that's a good start for me. However, the thing with the texture background is you can make them shorter, but you can't make them longer. They are set, but you can duplicate them and you can't see it when they start repeating almost like a loop. But we won't do that yet because I don't think we're going to be using it for the whole of it. Good. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't duplicate this. Did I duplicate this? Can't remember. My computer's crashed a number of times, so I think I'm running it quite hard at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this guy in again. Is that the full length? Yeah, so that's the original. Obviously, if we duplicate it, we could just bring it up from the top, and thankfully we haven't trimmed it, so I don't have to marry it up with anything. And before I use this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an effect to this, and to do that, I'm just going to duplicate the After Effects pre-comp, because what I want to do is I want to change the blending mode, and I want to change the blending mode to soft light. Now that's darkened this. If I take off the bottom one now, just to give us an idea, we've got it's almost like it's turned down the opacity, but it's kind of keeping certain things. I'm going to play around with this actually, and I want what did I choose? Was it screen I went for? If I toggle this off and on now, the opacity, yeah, it was the screen. So this is a blending mode that we've gone with this now. And now what this is doing is it's starting to blend with the background or anything that's below it. And that works well for me. So that's where I'm going to start as he turns his head. And the reason why I've stopped that there is because I'm going to move the background over, and I'm going to bring it just a little bit closer because we don't need it all. Then I'm going to take this top layer and I'm going to cut it. It's not being shown at the moment. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to delete that. Okay. So now if I bring that back, I now have this effect, which goes from him just turning around and then boom, we're into here, because we're going to create some kind of like dream sequence. It gives us a little bit more room to maneuver as he turns round. Good. Okay, so now we want to do some form of transition, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a light leak, and the light leaks within Premiere Pro, within Premiere Composer, are really good. I love them. I love the organic ones more, and I'm actually going to go with this organic light leak. I'm going to go with this light leak just because I really like it. I think it's a lovely light leak. So let's highlight that. We're at the playhead and press Add. So we've now got that light leak, which will bring us into our dream sequence. That's good. I'm happy with that. Let's just pre-render this, Control and S, because my computer has been crashing quite a lot. Set an out point there, Control and Enter to pre-render. It may take a little bit longer to get through here. It didn't take too long to get through just the main video clip, but it will take a little bit of time to get through the transition, which is the light leak, organic light leak 1, and also the After Effects composition. But we should be in a better position once we get to here to see kind of what we're playing with, because what I'm now going to do is we're going to level on some audio, because I hope you realize when we were doing the tracking composite, adding audio can really, I don't know, it helps to just sell everything. They do say that audio is worth more than 50% of a video's quality. People will forgive bad video or bad quality video as long as the audio is good. So yeah, with that in mind, although the video quality isn't bad at all, it's exceptional, the audio still has as much importance in this. Okay, so we're pre-rendered. That did take actually quite a bit of time, and I could spend time telling you what you need with regards to computer hardware and all that, but those things change over time. So the most important thing I will say is that get the maximum amount of RAM that you can afford on your budget, and the maximum or the best chip as in CPU and the best GPU as in graphics card. And yeah, you just kind of need to max out a lot for these kind of things. But when you have a machine that can run them, I mean, wow. So we're going to play around now. We're going to play around with the audio, which will really help to sell this. So first I want some ambient of, like, I don't know, outside. And for this, we can go to Motion Array, and I'm going to go to Sound Effects. And let's just say, I'm going to go a bit weird here and go Wilderness. See if anything comes up. Okay, maybe countryside with What's that? It's with wind, is it? Let's have a listen. And to do this, we're going to go to Motion Array and see what we've got here. And I'm going to go to Sound Effects. I'm going to tilde this so we can see everything. And I'm just going to search for, let's just say maybe countryside first. And let's see what we get here. Quiet countryside. That might be quite good. We have to ignore her saying preview.
Preview.
Okay, yeah, that sounds enough of an ambience that we need. That's good. I also want the cityscape. So the stuff for like the city. So let's just put city and see what we've got here. Night urban ambience. Have we used that before? Is that what we used? Yeah, maybe, but not quite. What's metropolis?
Preview. Preview.
Maybe. Is it traffic?
Preview.
That might work. That might work. Let's see. Let's bring that down. We're going to add effects to this as well, which will help sell it. But let's just tilde out this for now. And those should be downloaded now. My downloads. Yeah, they're down, so they'll be in our Motion Array folder. Should really start a new one of these, but I quite like working in here. I'm going to cover traffic and quiet countryside. So if we go down to traffic, traffic honking. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that traffic. Oh, maybe, yeah. Let's go in from there. I think maybe that's a good seller. So I'm in my source monitor. Obviously, I'm going to set in there, and I'm going to just drag the. It doesn't give me the option for video because it's just audio, and we're going to bring this into maybe here. Okay, that might work. Let's go back and let's get our quiet countryside. Quiet countryside. Good there. What's that there? Oh. Okay. Oh, I quite like that. Oh, what's that one? No, let's go for that one. I like that. So let's drag that into the bottom as well. So I'm just going to drag that there. Okay, and we're going to get rid of that at that point. So that's the transition bit. And I'm actually going to take this beep and I'm going to bring it onto its own channel. Okay, so let's just have a listen to these first. Okay, so that's where I'm at for now. Let's just cut that off and let's get rid of the rest of that audio. And what I'm going to do is, I've already decided when I heard that beep, I thought, oh, I want to do something with that. So I'm on track A3 here. So we're going to do a lot of this now in the track editor. So if we go to, the track mixer. So we're looking for 3, which is audio 3 here. And we're going to drop down one of these effects. And what I want to do is I want to go to stereo imagery first, and I want to expand it. Okay, so we're going to go maybe like a wider field. Let's have a listen to that now. Let's just solo that for now. So it's much more front and center. Good, okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, we're going to we want a bit of reverb. Can we get some reverb in this? Yeah, let's go for convolution reverb, because what convolution reverb does is it kind of gives you ideas. Okay, so like a cold house, back of class, that kind of thing. Let's say backstage area. Let's see how that sounds. Maybe not. Let's say Unreal Chamber. So that's really going to be like really quite echoey. Okay, yeah, maybe drag that on a little bit and put a fade on that. Let's just play that back again. Okay, and I wanted to do something else. I want to almost apply some echoes to this. So if we drop this down and go to delay and echo, and we want an analog delay. So let's double click that, and let's say I think you got to pick one. Drain pipe. What's this? Yeah, it's kind of what I want. Let's see, tape tube. Try analog. That's kind of what I want. Definitely what I want. And now I'm just going to add a bit more reverb on this. I'm going to go for some surround reverb, and we're going to say game time stadium. So it's stadium. So hopefully it's like, you have that feels like it's much further away. I like that. I like that. I'm just going to turn these off just by effects. In fact, no, I'm not. What am I going to do? I'm going to drop this down to a new layer. So this layer has none of the effects on. I'm going to solo this layer as well, just so I can put them next to each other. So this first one is without and the second is with. It's those little things that will actually make the difference, because you're adding certain things to the ambience of it. All right, let's go back. Cool. Happy with that. We're going to go with that. What I want to do is I want to boost the ambience at the beginning, which is audio track 2. And to do that, I'm going to come to a multiband compressor, double click on this, and I want to set this to where was it? Yeah, Classical Master. So this is one of my favorite. I use Classical Master and Broadcast a lot, but that really brings it right to the front. I'm actually going to turn up the output gain a little bit. By the way, every 6 decibels you increase, it doubles the volume. That's kind of the rules of decibels. Okay, good. And now with this, what I want to do is we're going to pan this. Okay, so what pan does is you can pan left or right. And what I want to do is I want to pan this from the right to the left as it goes through. And if you're listening with headphones, it will be more obvious. Maybe. Depends if this is coming out in mono or stereo. But yeah, you'll be able to see on here anyway. What I want to do is I want to add a pan envelope. And to do this within audio, by default, this is your volume. We'll turn it up. That's your volume here, without doing it here because it's to the clip. If I undo that and undo that and undo that again, we're back on 0. You right click and you want to go to show clip keyframes, and we go to panner and balance. Now all of a sudden that line, if I undo, what we do is we go show clip keyframes and panner and balance. Now if you look at this line here, it's just above this line here, which is the left channel. But if we go to panner and balance, watch that line, we now goes directly down the center, which means everything's right the way down the center. If we bring everything up, if we play that back now, you can see in here, whether you can hear it in your headphones or not, I'm not too sure, but here it's just out of the left channel. If we bring it down to the bottom, it's all the way on the right hand channel. If I bring this out, you can see. So this is left, this is right, there's right there. If I bring it up, there's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pan this audio. And if I undo and undo and undo, so we're back in the center, I'm going to add a keyframe. Now to do that, what we do is we hold down Control when we've got our mouse over here. And if we click once, we've got a keyframe. See how it looks like a keyframe as well? So I'm going to get that keyframe and I'm going to drag it up a little bit to about here, which is kind of like halfway towards the left. So if we look here, we'll have mostly on the left a little bit. Bring it a little bit more actually. Okay. And what we're going to do is down here, we're going to do Control again and click to add another keyframe. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag this down to a similar bit right on the, maybe to here. So now what we do is you've listened to the audio. To right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another one. So by towards the end, we're back to the center, maybe somewhere about, and then it comes in. Okay, I'm going to drag that off and put a fade on the back there, Control and click. And obviously this isn't pre-rendered now because we've got fades going on. But if I just add a pre-render there, play that back. Good. I'm happy with that. Last thing we're going to do is to kind of sell this even more, almost like he's been like grabbed into this, is I'm going to add a little bit of keyframing on this first clip. So we know that we have to be everywhere. We have to be, the scale has to be perfect and the position has to be perfect at the end of this clip, which is where the transition happens. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that all the way to the end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale in just a little bit and maybe bring it down a little bit. So we're starting to move with him from the beginning of the clip. And if we play that back now, as we just pre-render, play that back. Let's just close out that and close out that and close out that so we can actually see properly. If we play that back with the audio and all the tracking through After Effects, we're left with this effect. Double exposure, such a powerful tool if used correctly.